Julie, hopefully that's just his phone connection. It was a little rough, wasn't it?
It was. It was a little garbled, but we could understand. We have a 281-462 phone number unmuted.
Hello?
Hi, this is Mitch. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Mitch Stephen. How you doing?
Really good, man. How you doing? What do we owe this honor?
I've got a couple questions for the master, the guru, the owner finance god. So
I don't know about all that, but I'll try to answer the question.
I don't know about all that. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while now, and I'm JVing with somebody, and he got some advice from somebody else who's been doing this for like 5 years or so, and they do something a little bit different. This guy's a wholesaler, and we're going to JV on it. I'm going to be like 75%. He's going to be 25%. He found the deal. He found the buyer, which is kind of like the only deal that I'm doing these days. If I have a buyer on the end, or if it's a subject to deal, because I don't want any more vacancies, So anyway, it's a solid deal. We're getting it at 40. We're selling it for 85. But what he does is a little bit different. Like, he tells the end buyer basically that they have to pay 10%, and none of it goes towards the principal. He says that's all going to be used towards closing costs, RMLO fees, note fee setup, prepaid insurance, blah, blah, blah. So I just wanted to throw it at you and see if you've ever done that or heard of it.
So how many months prepaid insurance and taxes are you doing? Are you out of the 10,000? Are you going to try to do a whole year, or are you just going to do 3 months, or how much are you going to prepay? Really?
The whole year. We always try to get the full year prepaid, and then they keep paying. They don't, obviously get that year off. So
yeah, because we only take 3 months just to curtail some of the closing costs for them.
Okay. You're nicer than I am, I guess.
Well, no, it's just we have such a low fallout rate that we'd rather keep the bulk of that money as a down payment instead of
instead of going to the insurance company.
Having it in limbo in an escrow account for insurance and taxes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I like that. That makes sense too.
And we still got a 3-month cushion, so if we have, typically if we, COVID not included, we'd be pretty much through the foreclosure. Maybe we'd lose a month or two of taxes, but we wouldn't lose 5 months. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
And we might not lose any. We might not lose any because we're pretty Johnny on the spot. We foreclose on these things fast. We can get it done in 3 months for sure most of the time. So we're not upside down hardly ever. We hardly ever have a foreclosure to begin with, and then when we do, we get it over pretty quick. And even if there is a deficit, it's supplemented by the 3 months, but it's not covered for the whole year.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I like that. That part makes sense. What do you think about the rest of it? And getting the 10% down and telling them none of this is going towards your principal. It's only going to be towards closing costs to cover everything else, RMLO. Sometimes these deals, I got 2 closing. I got a closing when I'm buying it and closing when I'm selling it. So I was thinking it might make sense.
What's the thing with it? If you're telling them it's all going to go to that, then you have to put it there, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you can't say you're going to do it. I know you can make up some closing cost fees to put some money in your pocket, I guess, a little bit, but...
Yeah, transaction coordination. Yeah.
But if you're trying to live off the down payments and create cash flow in the background, that really doesn't work because you're giving up all your down payment to expenses. But if you're a seasoned guy like you, and you're saying, I don't need the down payment to live off of, I just want more return on my money, then that makes sense too. But it's for 2 different it's for 2 different sellers and 2 different seasons of their career.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and
how do you feel about not getting that? To me, I kind of like getting that down payment money and building up my cash reserves because I don't need all the down payment money I collect. But I collect it anyways, and Mike and I just take a little bit of it, and we keep leaving the rest of the down payment in an account till we buy a house for cash.
Yeah, there's a part of me that's saying this is just 6 of one, half dozen of the other, because, if I'm asking somebody for $10,000 in down payment, oftentimes they don't have everything else for the closing, so I might create a second note.
This is a difference between, we're asking 10% down plus all the prepaids, and we're getting it.
Right, okay, yeah. Well, I ask for 15 now, and I might usually wind up getting 10, but I don't always get, like, the 10 and all the closing costs. So what I've done is just created a second note with them. I might have a second note for, like, $6,000 or, something along those lines.
Well, you don't even really have to have a second. You could just add their deficit to their balance. Instead of owing 90, you're going to owe 94 because you don't have all the closing costs. I'm going to finance it in.
Right.
But you could put it as a second, give them a little extra payment, and give them a chance to pay off the second in their, when they get their income tax return or something, so that it kind of keeps their payment low. But shit, $4,000 on a 30-year payment really doesn't change the payment that much anyway.
Right. Yeah. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It's peanuts. Yeah, and we've done it both ways. I do kind of like having a second note, just like if you want to, I don't know, if you want to sell it or, from my understanding, you can just foreclose on that second note and leave the first one in place. If you want to get rid of them, if you have to foreclose on them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you still got to go to auction and someone might still elect to buy that house if it's worth a lot more than the balance, right? So,
right.
Unless you got ways to deal with that, there are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, wouldn't I still be, if I have the first lien? Would I really care if they have the second?
It really doesn't matter as long as they're, are you gonna on a $2,500 second, are you just going to make a random payment of like $150 extra till you pay it off so they actually pay it off? Or are you just going to amortize the second for 30 years too and they have like a $25 payment or something?
Oh, yeah, on the second one we've usually done like 5, sometimes 10, and it is a little peanut amount. It could be anywhere from like $60 to $150 a month.
It's a peanut amount until you do it 100 times.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they do add up. Yep.
Sam Madrid and I were creating 5% down payment and a 5% second a long time ago when we were selling notes because we had to have 10% down and we hadn't learned how to get 10% down, or the people that we had at the time couldn't come up with 10% down. And so we were supposed to, they were called throwaway seconds, but we never threw them away. We
right.
sent our notices every year if they were behind just to make sure that we gave notice, so that it wasn't deemed as we let it go without notice for so long that we actually basically accepted the fact that they're not going to pay us. So we would send out our delinquent notices every year. They weren't paying the second. And then we had the delinquencies racking up at the maximum interest rate allowable by law. So if they were in default on the second, that second was making 18%.
18%, yeah. Yeah. I foreclosed on one of my buyers who was paying me consistently on the first note and just kept ignoring me on the second note. I got him on the phone. I told him, I said, look, you can't just ignore the second note, And he just literally never made one payment on the second note, so we took the house back.
Oh, no. So I just let it accrue and let it accrue and let it accrue. It's like a CD at 18%. And then eventually they go to sell the house. The title company finds the second. They call you up and ask you for a payoff. You give it to them and say, well, would you discount that? And you say, hell no. Hell no, I'm not going to discount it. I called these people and begged them and told them, and they ignored me, so pay the 17.9%. And they can't sell the house unless they do.
That's why I'm on these calls. I heard you say that one time after I had already did that, because I thought that was brilliant. Just hold on to it, because like you said, it's 18% at that point because they're just ignoring it. So going forward, that's what I would do. Yeah, I wish I had heard that before.
It's really nice because you got like some $3,000 seconds that have been hanging around for 15 years at 18%. I don't exactly know what that equates to, but you end up getting a call and they owe you like $8,000 or $10,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're like, well, you're not going to make them pay the whole thing. I said, well, why the hell wouldn't I? You know, I didn't make the second note for my health, and I called them. I've got all these notices every year, certified mail, telling them. And they just blew me off. So pay me now.
Yeah.
So pay me now.
Exactly. Yep. And that makes a lot of sense. I like that. Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a prick or anything, but you know, when people make agreements to sign their name, and it's a little bitty tiny payment, like $35 a month or something, and it's like for a year or two, you know, and then they just want to ignore you. I have no mercy on it. Just like, I don't care. You know, 10 years from now, they're selling that house. They probably have $60,000, $70,000 profit in it. Well, you're gonna have to give me $8,000 of it now because you blew me off for all those years. Yeah,
I don't have any mercy either. I got screwed so many times.
The key is you have to keep sending the notices year after year. You can't forget about them, or it could be construed as you forgave it. You have to give them notice at least once a year.
Okay. That's good to know.
And you really do that when you send them their interest paid statements at the end of the year and everything.
Yeah.
You're also sending that certified letter. It's just part of the deal. If they owe you a second and they're not paying. So you're kind of forced anyways to check in with them once a year because you got to give them their interest paid and you know tell them what their remaining balance is and all that stuff. So you just add one more thing to the people with seconds, and here's your certified letter telling you your 2,500's in default and it's racking up at 17.9%.
Right. Yep. That's a beautiful thing. Is that something that you guys at Moat do? You'll send that notice with it, or is that not part of the program?
Well, we haven't ever had to make seconds, and we've just been kind of adding that balance to what they owed us if they were short on the closing costs. But maybe we would be smarter now that I'm talking to you and thinking about it to create a second, because if they get in default on that second, we're earning 17.9% on that money instead of 10.
Yeah.
But you know, it's still kind of chump change because these seconds are pretty tiny most of the time. I mean, if you were having $4,000 and $5,000 seconds, it could make a pretty big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, it would. And I'll send you an invoice for my mentoring fee. So.
Hey,
the
part of the reward that I get for my every other Tuesday being wrapped up is I get to gain some knowledge from the students every now and then. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, even if it's your knowledge that we just pulled out of you in most cases, you know. But it does get you to think, huh?
made me think a little harder about what I'm doing. Hell, I ought to be doing what you're doing instead of adding it to the balance. I should just create a second because I got a chance to make a better interest rate if they don't pay it.
Yeah, I mean, one downside for them, obviously, but it doesn't bother me. They're paying 2 note servicing fees, you know.
Well, that makes that whole second another thing. I didn't know that you were charging a whole nother servicing fee for that little bitty note.
Yeah, no, we do. Yep.
Well, now the ROI on that is pretty high, but you know you kind of got to be careful, Landon, because I'm not sure that if you got in a lawsuit with these people that the attorney's not going to apply that 35. If you're the note servicer and you sold the house to them, they may add that $35 a month to your APR, and you might be breaking some interest ceiling rules.
Gotcha. Yeah, instead of collecting 18, maybe collect 17, so I don't go over with the note servicing fee in there. You
have to figure out what the APR is on a 10% note with a $35 a month servicing fee that goes in your pocket. If it was going to a third party, it wouldn't matter. But since you sold them the house and the servicing fee is going in your pocket, they could construe that as some kind of additional interest and do the math and figure out that you're over the usury rate.
Over 18. Yeah. That makes sense. That's something to watch out for. Okay.
Well, actually, though, over 18 is usury, but we'd have to talk to a lawyer here, but Dodd-Frank says you can only charge 6%, 6 points over the prime or whatever their index is. Right now, the index is about at 4 3/4, so you could charge 10 3/4. Well, if you're already charging 10 to begin with, and plus the 35, you would be clearly out of bounds in Dodd-Frank. So I don't know which one you measure by on a second, but I'm going to guess Dodd-Frank.
Yeah. Yeah, you may be right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
if they're in default, though, it doesn't matter because it can shoot up to 18%. Less whatever the $35 would figure in.
Yeah, but you've been charging them maybe for years before they got in default. So you don't. So here's a way to do it. I heard someone might have done this before. You get a close friend to own your servicing company. You're not really on it as an owner, but you get paid a pretty hefty consulting fee for bringing all this business to them.
Right. Huh. Where would I find a guy like that? All right. Okay.
Well, my guy was named Shannon.
Yeah. Okay. Your guy was a. Can we say guy and girl anymore? All right. Anyway, yeah, Shannon. I got
My guy was named Shannon. She's the sole owner of that company, but she has to pay out some pretty freaking hefty marketing commissions that are about two-thirds of whatever comes in.
Right.
that would look a lot like Mitch and Mike.
Yeah. I got you. Cool. Yeah, this is good stuff. I like it.
I always see I see people like you on the call for 5 years now, or I don't know. It's been a long time, right?
Yeah, it's about that. Yep.
And it really shows your commitment to your industry because that you're going to pick up things that you wouldn't have thought of just because you take this Tuesday out of your life too, to just sit back and listen or ask, and you're as much as you know about real estate, you know a whole crap load, and just like me, we pick up things off this call no matter how much experience we have, or we get reminded, or you get your mind so far into minutia that you straighten a few little things out that were costing you a little money, and now they're not.
I love it. And part of it is like you were hitting on before. You've got so many students, and they're out there. It's you're just on the cutting edge this way because you got a lot of people out there trying different things in different states and different ideas, and then they might trigger something off in your mind.
Or bringing up questions that I haven't thought about in years, and think, you know what, we got away from that. Well, why did we get away from doing it that way? I should go back to the old way because Landon just brought it to my attention that I'm missing out on 17.9% on Lakewood.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love your idea of just keeping that note there. When I foreclosed on it, so I think that's a brilliant thing to do there.
Well, I kind of liked it because it wasn't enough money to change my life on the face value, on the original balance. $2,500 ain't nothing. So leave it in the damn CD at 17.9. It might go 25 years before they call for a payoff.
Yep. Yeah. That turns out to be something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine was like 6,600. I'm just wondering what that would be at.
Well, how many? Just kind of figure out how many years was that. I know it's not compounding, but let's just. How many years
it was a 10-year. It was a 10-year note, so let's say 120 months.
For another 10 years, it would have been 12,000.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. 17.9.
I'm not sure if this compounds every year. I don't know. Does it compound every year, or is it just flat on the balance?
Yeah, it
probably compounds.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, the interest comes out to be more than the original note amount.
You know how to really make it accelerate? Put in your notes that it compounds monthly.
Compounds monthly? Okay.
Yeah.
You do that?
Annually. Yeah, I had someone do it to me one time, and it was killing me. And it was a long time ago when I'd gotten behind on something. I was trying to catch up, and it was like racking up fast because it was compounding monthly.
Yeah.
Everything I owed was owed to the balance, and now the new balance in 30 days is at 17.9. And then 30 days go by, and then the new balance, which is higher, again, is at 17.9. Compounding monthly, you know, it's like Einstein said, right? Is that he the one that said one of the greatest powers of the world was compounding interest?
Yeah, I think he said the eighth wonder of the world, something to that effect, was compounding interest. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. He also said something similar where he said it's easier to make $1 million than it is to figure out the taxes on $1 million. I think they attribute that to Einstein as well.
I don't think that. I think that was Landenstein.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't one of us, you know. It is a good one though. You know, and that kind of ties in though what you're just talking about here, where you have your compounding monthly. Do you have on the website in the resources like a strong deed of trust that we can use? I know you probably adjusted yours and tweaked yours and that kind of thing. And the reason I'm asking is I've had several problems where I have insurance checks come and, you know, I'm just battling it out with my borrower, you know, him wanting to put it in his bank. And I just want to be very clear, like in the deed of trust where it says, you know, any insurance checks that are collected from any damages will be deposited into lender's account, and draws will be made until it's used up, or the rest of the money left over goes to pay down principal. You know, something along those lines. So, do you have that kind of language in your deed of trust? And you have a deed of trust that
I think we do.
Share?
I was talking to Mike the other day. Someone was asking about that. One of my $25,000 students that was in, and I don't remember how Mike said it, but we had it covered somehow. So maybe if you could remember to ask Mike that question next Tuesday, or just call Mike. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
I think Mike will take your call.
Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah. I want to get some strong DOT going forward. I get tired of arguing with these people when a check comes in.
Yeah, it's always kind of tricky. You have to go to to really do it right, you have to go to the bank together, and they have to cash it, put it in 2 piles, and slide 1 pile to him and 1 pile to you, so he doesn't grab it all and run off.
Well, I told him that, you know, this one guy relatively recently told me he was going to pay off his boat and put his deck on his house. I said, no, you're not. You know, so he drove out from Orange, which is like over a 2-hour drive. We went to the bank together, me, him, and his wife, and at the last minute he tells me he's got some other contractor, and that contractor needs $10,000 up front out of this $20-something thousand check. And I said, I'm not doing it. So we had like a blow-up fight at the bank, and they just stormed out. And I was like, you know, F you guys, basically. And they hired an attorney, sent me a couple of demand letters saying how I was a scumbag, basically, and I needed to sign a check over to them. So I got an attorney to write them a letter saying this is notice of foreclosure because you're not using the check to repair the property, and you're required to maintain the property according to the deed of trust. At that point, they gave in, you know. But I don't want to have to get to that stage anymore. I just wanted to be in the deed of trust where it says, hey, it goes into the lender's account, period.
Yeah. Talk to Mike. I think we have it handled. I'm just not sure how to repeat it to you. So. Okay.
Yeah, I'll give Mike a call.
All right.
Well, cool. Good stuff, Mitch. I appreciate it.
That's a good call right there, man. That was a good set of questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Mitch.
Bye.